good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We're out on the world of Innsbruck for the 2018 UCI Course Short. It's going to be a climber's day. Racers are out on course in the EMEA East that we'll be covering first and foremost in the A's, and they are actually starting to climb pretty quick here, Dave. Real quickly, Dave, this course is going to be all-out grind FTP followed by a couple of really hard sprints, essentially.
I would completely agree with that. We're certainly looking at what will be a challenging day. This is a course that I'm not intimately familiar with. We have raced, obviously, in Innsbruck quite a bit, but this setup is interesting. Having the climb come so early, and it's a tough climb, but it's a long way to the finish line from there. So it's really hard to predict how this one's going to play out, which is always exciting when there's a bit of an unknown to race into out here. One thing that is clear, we've got some very strong riders out here. I'm expecting this selection to be nothing but monsters.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I really do like about this course as well today is I do think there's a lot up in the air because we haven't seen races like this, I don't think much at all throughout the ZRL. So really
Agreed.
Cool to see some climbing up on course. Cy Bradley, of course, is helping us out a ton with how the course is going to look. Let's take a look at what he had to say about how to take this on, and then we'll jump right down into some replays of the start and the racing live.
Hey Zwifters, welcome to Innsbruck for stage 6, the final stage before we move on to the semi-finals and the finals of the Continental Trophies. 24 kilometers in total, just shy of 500 meters of elevation. So as we roll through this start-finish banner, sadly, you're going to be picking up no power-ups today, but we do have 2 time segments. One 15 to 30 minute climb dependent on your category, and then one sprint segment right at the end of the course. But first we're going to take on the Innsbruck KQOM 7.5 kilometer climb. There are places to attack and there are places to sit in the wheels on this climb, but the final 500 meters are fairly flat, so if you've still got some people around you with sprinters legs, you want to make sure you drop them before this point. First across the line and the fastest through segment on this climb. We're then going to descend back towards Innsbruck before we hit the leg snap of this 500 meter power climb before we take the right hand turn at the top and head towards that sprint segment. We've then got a short undulating descent towards this sprint segment. First across the line and the fastest through available here. But what I love about this sprint, it's so close to the finish line. So what are these riders going to do? Roll straight over the top and go for those finish line points? Or do you have the strength to pick up the segment and the finish line points? Good luck and ride on.
Yeah, great from Cy there. Nice little look at the course and each one of the places that there are points out on course, as well as how to take on this climb. The riders are out on course here, taking on the climb right now in the east. But I want to take a quick look here at a quick little replay as how things started, because right from the get-go here, Dave, things have been spicy in the east. So we've got Diaz here from WLC. Verrat from the TPC, the Punchers there for note. Zwan is out here from Dutch Racing, and right from the get-go, they're going 6-7 watts per kilogram on the attack. This is a little bit of a replay, just as a heads up to everybody there, as they're taking off and immediately had a 2-second gap. They had to be chased, actually, by BL13, even to be brought back into the fold. And BL13 weren't involved in this early attack. So right from the gun, they did get brought back into the main pack, right, I'd say about half a kilometer before the main climb here. So right from the get-go, you can see that WLC is, and they've been the main instigators actually with this.
Well, it's an interesting tactic getting out in front, the race to the bottom of the climb, because that climb really starts in earnest at about 4K in. So, yeah, and you can see it's splitting the pack behind them. So I guess getting out in front of it is a good way to put it. It's all come back together. Now as we go back in, this is going to be the front of the bike race now, and Just van den Bosch is the Dutch rider. So they clearly came with a game plan, Nathan. But the group looking like they're hanging in there. BL13, we'll have a chance everyone joining us now, this is our 6th and final race of the regular season. So we'll see how things have stacked up. And it's been BL13 Watt Bombs in the driver's seat, Wahoo Lacole A7, just 2 points back. And then still in that conversation for the regular season championship would be SZ, Swedish Zwifters, the Uller team. So, Nathan, this is going to be interesting. In my mind, it's not about winning at the top of this climb or being the first rider over the top of the climb, but being the best sprinter left. That's the name of the game here, is there's going to be so many points coming in the back half of this race after that climb. So this climb is going to do a tremendous amount of sorting out for us here today. And they're pushing the tempo. I mean, you can really start to feel that. You look at the watts over here, Nathan, it's inching up on 6 watts per kilo to be up in the front group here.
And it's essentially been that from the bottom of the climb, right from the get-go. With Sue in here coming from the TPC team, as you can see, that is going to be the Punchers Club making a little punch off the front. Now, WLC have been in the driver's seat, I think, for good reason. They are on the offensive right now to try and grab 3 points back from BL13. Their hopes are going to be that another team will get in between themselves and BL13. The thing about BL13 is they are a very strong team when it comes to the tactics and the punch into the sprints to the line. I do get the sense that perhaps, now I may be way off on here in BL13, or maybe like, Nathan, you haven't watched this climb in a while, and we're going to show you. But, WLC could have some hopes here, because the reality of having Dutch racing here is you see them continuing on the attack as well, having to be covered over and over again by BL13. Oh, and we accidentally went into the women's race. Apologies on that, guys. We will jump right back over to the men's race here in just a second, as we did jump into the women's race. But Dave, as the women are about to jump out on course, the situation there with Dutch Racing, WLC off the front, I do think they're trying to make some moves there to try and get these points that they need back.
Yeah, and this is it. I mean, your back is up against the wall. The problem is going to be riders like Michael Gamst, to tell you the truth. Nathan, his 20-minute power is 5.8 watts per kilo. That's exceptional. That's world class. How you drop a rider like that on this climb is beyond me. And Gamst is, he's the true triple threat. That's for sure. So BL13 comes loaded for bear out here. Mark Elding is the rider out of the United Kingdom on this team. Peter Weir has also been exceptional. So BL13 has brought their A squad. They also have the Belgian rider, Valentin Dessy, on the squad. So you're right. They're going to need a little help as well. These are regular season points that we're talking about. A perfect score up to this point would be 100 points. That would be 5 wins valued at 20 each. But let's go back and look at the action you've got here, Nathan.
We have no action.
Screen.
We have no action at the moment.
Okay.
So just,
I was
no
a little
action
confused.
at the moment,
I thought
everyone. We'll have to.
So yeah, good. Well then,
we'll
I'll
have
keep
to
breaking
figure
it
out
down.
how to get back in here real quickly. We'll bring each other back into scene here, because sometimes there's nothing you can do about that on our end. We'll see if we can. We'll jump back into the racing here in just a moment, everybody. We'll have to pull a couple of rabbits out of some hats here, but as soon as we can, we will get back into it. I'll probably show you some replays of the climb, but as we wait for that, we will chat with you about what's about to happen in the women's race.
And our women are, as you're showing them in the pen, spawning. I always thought that's an interesting term, like salmon, right, up in the Pacific Northwest, or Norway for that matter. But so our women, I believe it's going to be EMEA Central, Nathan, that you're jumping in with today?
Yep, EMEA Central. That's exactly
So our
right.
Division 1. And in this, we have that ABIS team who've been so strong racing out of Belgium. They also have Venoppa, who's tremendous talent out of Finland on that squad. So again, it's a 24-kilometer race today. And you might say, wow, that sounds short. And distance-wise it is, but duration-wise, it'll be kind of right down the middle with nearly 500 meters of climbing. This is as much as you can really pack into that short distance. The sprints come at the end here, so it is as interesting of a day on paper as we've seen in a long time. I'm always amazed that Nathan is able to do what he does, jumping from race to races. There's a lot of finesse and skill, and to be honest, even a little black magic, I would think, being able to finesse your way or navigate your way around this world right now. There's almost 14,000 racers in the ZRL who compete around the globe, much like the WTRL on Thursdays. It's a worldwide phenomenon, no doubt. These teams are well versed and well drilled on who else they're racing against at this point. Our sixth race of the season. I saw WTRL just announced the actually the finale races that we have as we're wrapping up 2021-22 season 3. It's actually our sixth season if you look at the big picture right now, and the final race underway. And one that, with Nathan's vast experience, I'm going to guess that you've seen this exact course before. But for me, this is a first. So it's interesting.
Actually
It's
raced
like
this course on Saturday. Actually, thanks everybody for all your patience. We'll get right back in. I am doing a full reload, so we'll be right back in. But I raced it on Saturday. It was interesting that this climb. I saw this morning that Kate, when she was chatting with Anna, was like, "There's no hiding on a climb like this." And you know, this climb, it does have some areas where you can sit in a little bit. When it does punch hard, though, you really have to give it to hang on. But there definitely are some sections out on the course that you are able to sit in a little bit. And
Kate and I.
Kate
and I tend to agree on that kind of stuff. I think in general, as that perspective of there being nowhere to hide. You can either make the watts or you can't, to be honest. And this is just raw when you think about it on a climb this steep. This was the feature climb. I mean, if you go back and remember that World Championships in Innsbruck pre-COVID, this was really one that the climbers had been waiting a long time for. It's very rare they get a crack in a course quite like this one. I mean, Nathan, 500 meters in 24 kilometers of climbing, and remembering that it's basically dishpan flat when you're not climbing out here. It's not rolling for the most part. It's flat, climb, descend, flat. So straight ahead. Sometimes these courses can be the hardest to win on, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the descent actually on the other side of the climb, we had a couple of riders get about 3-4 seconds, and it was only 2 or 3 riders when we were in the Electric Spirit Co race. And interesting enough, though, that was actually really dangerous for us with how incredibly intense the speeds are on the other side. It's very, very steep. Some riders during the race,
you can get dropped
were getting
on
their
the descent.
100 kilometer per hour badges ticked. They were able to grab those in-game badges for hitting 100 kilometer per hour. So that new achievement is available if you really get it going on the down. That's how fast it is. It's insanely fast.
Lying. On Zwift, I mean, in real life, I mean, that's 62 miles per hour that you're traveling at in old money for folks out there. It really does speak to how steep to get that fast going downhill, Nathan. You got to put that in the bank on the climb, and you certainly are earning that free speed they get on the descent. I've always thought that that's one of the great things about in real life. Zwift racing esports versus in real life is that you've got to stay on your toes on the descents a little bit more on Zwift than you do in real life. It looks like you might have just cracked the code there and picking up the ladies now as they roll out.
Yeah, jumping in with the ladies
24K.
here. We'll get back in with the men here in just a moment. We'll probably be able to catch their descent down toward the Innsbruck ring and the leg snapper in just a moment. We'll be able to see as well what the times were through the climb. Again, apologies for losing the men's race there. But now we do have the women's essential jumping out on course. They're about to hit the climb, and no attacks like we saw in the men's race early on. It looks like it's all Grupo Compacto and just waiting for the suffering about to go uphill.
It's interesting how that's a great example of how you could race this group 100 times and you'd see 100 different examples of how they're going to start. But this is what I would expect. Might as well keep the powder dry until you hit the bottom of that climb. When you look at it, again, Innsbruck, known for absolutely incredible wintertime scenes there. And these climbs are infamous for their severity. But right now, just a nice chance to roll along as a group. We also, again, the 6th race of the season for the women here. And, we've sorted things out in some of our divisions. Others are very, very close. I'd have to say, as you were noticing with the men, that's still in play. Although some of the teams, if they do want to leapfrog their way up onto the top of the table, are going to need some help from other squads. It's not entirely in your hands. And that certainly can make, that's really what bike racing is all about. It's so multifaceted out here. So in with the peloton, they've got 21 kilometers of racing ahead of them, including a really severe climb today.
And we also do have the men's racing here. Thank you again for your patience. They are just actually about to get over the top of the climb. So we are going to catch some perfect timing here as they're about to grab their points. And we do have Michael Gamst here up toward the front, able to make this lead group here, keeping BL13 in the conversation, it looks like. Able to make these fouls. Now, before we did lose some of the footage earlier, we were talking about how BL13 were in the driver's seat. Well, it looks like they're continuing that here, Dave. I thought for sure that we would see some attacks. Well, perhaps that would be able to break them of some of these points. Now, there are a lot of points on the line here. If they do not have a sprint here coming, if they have a sprint for points here, and if they're able to Dutch Racing, we also see coming off of here, Navamil here. Dutch is looking to grab some points, but WLC are not super involved. There's only one rider with Diaz, who is marked by Weir, I believe, but Diaz now coming right on through. Diaz actually won the race in Electric Spirit co-race on Saturday here, and he's showing us he knows exactly how to take on this course.
All right, so this is another one of the critical parts of the race opportunity to snag points. And here we go, lighting this one up. So that certainly looks like Diaz that you were talking about, Peter. We're charging, but the Spanish rider, Navimel, looks like he's got it in the tank here to pick up these KOM points. We'll score this one now as we open up the account.
BL13 was all the way back in 5th there, Dave. That's going to be some crucial points not grabbed there by BL13 just now, with Diaz taking top spot and a lot of teams in between them with SZ as well as Dutch Racing. Mundo 5 seconds back. This is, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's plenty of still in the top 10 here with BL13, but I think this is starting to open up a little bit of hope here for WLC.
Well, let's talk about the points that they have available here. KOM sprint and finish line today, Nathan. Fastest through and first across the line. So this is the points coming into this race. Now, talking about 2 different points tables. So as we look at the ZRL here, each team has riders that accrue points in the race. They can either do that at sprint points, segment points, or at the finish line. Those points are all added together, and then 20 points are awarded to the team each week that has the highest total. 19 points for the second place team, 18 for third on down. So right now, a perfect score would have been 100 points. So BL13 has been there or thereabouts every week. It's either been firsts or seconds, and I think a third along the way. But in order to overtake them, you're not only going to have to beat them today, you're going to need to have another team beat them if you were the team that was 2 points back. So that then throws a little wrinkle into things. So the men, 12.4 KN, they've gone up and over the top of the climb. They're going to be freewheeling. You can see the speeds will be ridiculoso for the guys as they're on their way to the finish line. Over on the women's side of things, this is Julie Chalet that we're talking about. Very strong rider, the German here on Belgian. I believe we corrected ourselves the other week. Let me jump in on the women's side of things. And Julie is Belgian for the Avis Lacole team, and well off the front right now. 13-second advantage over Gabriela Schumann.
Yeah, it looks like she took off right from the bottom and just said, forget it, I'm gone. Open it up an immediate, it looks like 5 to 10 second gap, and now is going out. It looks like Schumann did make a chase effort there, unable to bring that back up in that 174 beats per minute. Vicky Nealon, one not to be messed with, riding for that Wahoo Lacole team here as well. Ukena from the Canyon Beta team out of Germany trying to shut that down. 2 seconds back, but it's starting to turn into an every woman for herself kind of race here. The question, though, Dave, can they open up enough of a gap? I mean, there's a lot of climbing left here, so I think that they can, if they continue on at this kind of a pace, from bottom to top, they should be able to open up enough of a gap to really make something happen here and stay away all the way to the finish line. With the large pack behind here and whether or not it stays together, it still is going to be a danger with how it travels downhill. So they're going to be looking for a solid 30 seconds over the top, I would think, to really feel secure.
I would agree, and I don't know that they'll be able to get 30 seconds out of this group, to tell you the truth. I don't. My thought is that this is going to be really, really tough for them. Chalet, your solo leader right now, is looking extremely good. I'm a little more concerned for the riders behind her, to tell you the truth. Not worried about Julie right now. She's clearly gone.
I don't know what just happened in the men's race, but Diaz, something just happened I've never even seen before. Diaz was just off the front. I'm going to show real quickly here the images of this because he was just off the front, full on attack, and suddenly stopped. His avatar just stopped, turned around, and then went forward again. And the rest of the pack just was like going by at like 100 kilometers per hour. And now he's out of the race. I mean, he was gone. And
does he own a cat? Does he have a cat in his house?
He may have had a cat. I mean, that's the only explanation I have. And that puts
I'm not even
BL13
kidding.
back into the driver's seat because now they have two up front here. WLC still are covering it with Budge, as well as who else is here with them? Taking a look through here.
Maybe
Carlos
BL13 released a whole bunch of stray cats in his neighborhood, and they got a hold of his keyboard. But that's what that sounds like to me. I'm not even kidding, because there's no way either that or, you know what, I mean, Nathan, like a water bottle slips off of a table and hits a keyboard, because clearly that was not intentional. There's no reason in the world why anyone would want that. So, and he'd done so much work to get to that point that mishap is nothing short of unfortunate. I hate to blame a cat, but that's what I'm going to stick with.
I mean,
someone's got to take the fall.
Something, there's something somebody does. Yeah, and that was never. I have no idea. I mean, it looked like somebody was saying, "Did you try and do a bike change?" I mean, that would be the only other explanation.
I mean, Nathan, as someone, let's be honest. I think we've been more than clear. You're a fan of pushing the envelope on these type of things like bike changes. I play it more conservative. No one in their right mind would change their bike.
No, I wouldn't. Situation. I'm just responding to chat. Chat was just
okay. Good. I was going to say. No, I was going to say. Oh my gosh, are we really going to have this bike change?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, that was so weird that it's like,
unless the bike
happened?
You're changing to is a Ducati.
And you don't do that on a downhill either. I don't think that Diaz was doing that on a downhill. I think Budge is here now at the back, just biding his time. WLC, they were really well set up here. And now it's a struggle bus to try and stay involved in this race when it comes to even maybe holding on to their second place spot, perhaps, with Dutch Racing involved here and a few others. Dutch off the front now, Dave, Nathan, on the attack.
Yeah, this is why I was not concerned at all about BL13, because it was going to be a numbers game. You have to take inventory at this point and try to figure out, are the points available here? So this is going to be an interesting moment. Again, to bring you up to speed, these are the men racing in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. This is the East Division 1, and we're in with the A's. You can see how the points have played out so far. That's going to be the Swedish rider Olsen there, picking up maximum points. Anders Olsen with 27 points, but this distribution is very interesting. We saw Navimule there, the Spanish rider, who is very, very strong going over the KOM, and he is certainly going to be one of our danger men here. But Nate, he's on the PETA Z team. And I said Spanish, I really apologize. Portuguese rider. That's my bad. So, Nathan, back to the racing. That's Dutch racing rider Karluk, Jacek Karluk on the front right now. Advantage, a couple of seconds. There's Matt Brook, the professional triathlete. digging in for Wahoo Lacole here. We got ourselves a drag race with 5K to go.
Yeah, this little section, of course, coming up here with the leg snapper. After that climb, usually I don't attack on the leg snapper. I don't think that it's a really great spot to give it a go because it's not quite long enough unless you have a whittled down pack like this. And myself, Dan Pedroza, and Diaz went full gas over the top actually on the leg snapper and Electric Spirit Code. We got a 2 or 3 second gap. We were caught by 2 riders a little bit later, but they were so done that they couldn't respond to any more attacks. We'll see if something similar happens here because it is so whittled down, and there are a lot of matches are burned over the top of that KOM that you do have the opportunity on the leg snapper here, I think, to really make something happen. Now, Navi Mule has selected a bike where I made a mistake actually on Saturday, I believe, as well, with going maybe to a little too much of a lightweight setup or a little bit too much of a setup that doesn't have much speed. Being on lightweight wheels, as wheels are the most important part as far as your speed goes, we'll see if what he can pull off here. It is a 5-second gap now at this point. If they've got anything left in the tank to give a punch here, this may be an opportunity for a straight up go for the win. There are some sprint points as well that they'll be going for in just a moment. I have a feeling though, this pack behind, we're going to see crazy fireworks coming here to try and shut this down.
It's really interesting here. They are just a couple hundred meters now from starting the meat and potatoes part of this. As a matter of fact, here we go. So they need to add a couple seconds, just bank a couple of seconds, and then I put them in with the shot. That's a great angle there, as you can see the chasing peloton. I mean, the advantage that they have is you go up and over the top of the infamous leg snapper, and here we go. It's going to be one rider. So it's going to be the Portuguese rider going away alone right now. This is impressive for Luis. And yeah, I think, Carluck is going to go back to the group, Nathan, it looks like, before they go over the top of the climb here. It comes up pretty quickly now because they're deep into the leg snapper. They just fly up this, don't they?
And look, Carluck and the rest of this crew, they're going to come flying over the top. And Luis,
that's not
I
enough.
believe he's out of Spain, actually, just as a heads up there. He's coming out of Spain, it looks like. Actually,
that is
crazy.
Spain.
Yeah, that is
Holy
Spain,
cow.
yeah.
I'm having a tough day with flags.
It's all right. It's all good. Navimil, 2 seconds still. Not enough, though. I mean, with the speed that they are coming over the top here and this many bodies on this downhill, 63 kilometers per hour here. We're from BL13. Now going to a little bit of a jump from the pack now, and I think it's all going to be said and done for Luis Navimil. This guy, though, he's got a pretty serious Palmares, it looks like, coming out of Spain. He's got all kinds of results over on his Zwift Power profile. Very cool to see. Level 33 Zwifter. He does have a solid kick at 14 watts per kilogram in a sprint. So we'll see what he can pull off against some of these top riders. Still, if he's able to hang on. He's actually off the front still, Dave.
Yeah, dangling off the front here. We're coming into 2.5K to go. Luis, an exceptional ride for the Spaniard. They are going to make that catch as he's in Boca de Pepo, the right now. We take a look here at that catch. I'm really impressed by Matt Brook today, the Wahoo Lacole rider. He's hung in there to be in the mix. It looks like now, is that going to be P to Z attacking again here? Very, very active group as they make the run into the finish.
All about the points now. Carluck over the top now, Dave. 14 watts per kilogram. This man has been waiting to push 1,100 watts. And the question is, will he 1,200 watts?
Good for him.
A lot of points here. Brooke now trying to grab these. And this is really a perhaps day-winning move here now from BL13. Waiting for the last moment. Was this tactical to just go over the top and carry some speed right on through? And this kind of a move right here, if somebody does go right here, it can work. If you were waiting, go over the top. Everyone is so completely done after the leg snapper and a sprint. We did see it get away in Electric Spirit Co. Company on Saturday with Diaz. Diaz isn't here, though, and everyone's going to just settle right on down. Right-hand turn right here, Dave, that goes downhill, and then there's a couple little bumps. You can take this. This is such a tactical dragway right here. You can see this little 32% gradient. If they punch right here and then into the downhill, carry speed, and then there's a 1% right after this where you do this little roller coaster and you can just jump away from the entirety of the pack. It doesn't look like they're going to play those tactics, though. It might be just a classic heads-up sprint.
How about Dutch Racing with 3 riders in this front group. Outstanding job here, as they could be in position to take this final race of the 6-race regular season. You can see there's 2 yellowish jerseys. The B, the Bicycling Magazine jersey, that's going to be that's the other team that's attacking here right now. Is Luis, the Spaniard, is back. Peter Z rider Luis Navumel is back on the attack. He has been relentless out here, as they're going to bring it down to 1K to go very, very quickly. So it's a small gap, Nathan, but certainly this man has been incredibly impressive. You'd have to think that's our 5K to go hero at this point. As we take a look, the Dutch racing team's got the most to lose with 3 riders back in this group. So I think that they're going to try to organize this chase, try to keep one rider out of the wind, keep him as fresh as possible for what looks to me like it should set up as a kick. They're going to run out of real estate very quickly here into Innsbruck. Now you can see moving up onto the wheel of the Dutch racing riders, very, very savvy here from Jos van den Bosch, another Dutch rider racing for BL13. We're going to hit a reset on the front. Nathan, I'll throw it back to you as they come down to 500 meters to go for our men now.
We're almost taking over at a bad spot. I would have just sat in on Dutch Racing. Instead, he goes to the front, and they may just draft on him, but he's got a 10 watt per kilogram kick. Here comes WLC, though, and they come right on through with Budge. Budge holding on to an awesome lead out with, it's going to be Brooke over the top, and Matt Brooke jumps him. Bosch for second.
Wow.
What a move by Brooke. WLC played that so well. Man, and they were patient, so incredibly patient there from WLC. We'll take a look at the replay at that in just a moment, because we got to jump right back down into the women's racing, because Julia Chalie is off the front by 35 seconds, trying to be chased here by Beast Mode, presented by Rose, with Gabriella Schumann now, and Vicky Nealon 27 seconds back from that.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, as we rejoin the women, I'm not too worried about Julie. She has been exceptional, a level above. And to be fair, Gabriella Schumann missed last week's knockouts on Zwift because she was sick. So I have to think that she's in somewhat of a recovery mode. We're going to cut her a little bit of slack, and just going up against a one-woman wrecking crew. This Belgian rider has been next level. As a matter of fact, over the last 6 months, I'd say this is the biggest breakthrough that we have seen. Put a gold star next to Julie's name. She's not coming back, in my estimation, even using the physics and the power of the peloton behind her on that descent. Nathan, will put it out there. I believe this woman is strong enough with the advantage that she has to stay away for a solo win out here. So that then, you can either take that for what it's worth. I've been wrong more than I'm right. That's part of what's so fun about this sport, is trying to figure out whether this is possible or not. And I'm saying you can believe, as this woman has definitely shown us she's world class.
There's definitely some questions to be answered behind here. What kind of a pack do we have for a chase? But at a minute 40, there's not even. And then Schumann with 56 seconds, Nealon with even 31. And Vicky Nealon has a really solid TT. This is a rider that we're talking about that comes from Heino, that is one of the most successful Premier Division winning teams in the history of Zwift racing. Vicky Nealon can hammer out some solid big watts. And if Schumann and Nealon get together here, I don't know if they're going to be any kind of danger to the reality of kind of gap that we have from Julie Chalie, but they will be able to perhaps solidify their gap to that chasing pack and have some confidence. Now, the question, though, for Gabriella is whether or not that's even worth it, though. Like, does she just keep the pressure on Vicky? Because you're giving up a spot, perhaps, to somebody who's got bigger watts and, most likely a better TT rider than you may be.
Well, and so that's where bike racing is such an interesting sport, is that you have to deal with not only racing on the terrain, but what's happening around you, and make in real-time decisions. What's your smartest move right now? And you have to factor, too, that this is, even with the incredible ride that we're seeing from Julie Chalie here today, that's one rider on a 6-rider team. So her teammates are going to have to step up and have her back and collect points as well if the Avis team wants to take the outright win here. So as we shift over to the women, this is certainly a different kind of bike race, Nathan, isn't it? We've got riders all over the road. So Gabriella Schumann there is the first chaser, and she's alone. With Vicky Nealon. That's Gabriella Schumann.
Yeah, 31 seconds difference between these two.
Back to Nealon alone as well. And then you've got that group that has Engstrom, Brearley, Vinopa, etc. Ariel Verhaeren in that group as well.
And it's only
Daniela
27
Strate.
seconds back here with Teresa D here coming from BBB. I mean, this is no joke crowd right here, right, Dave? I mean, what do we got as far as, and it's starting to break apart though. Some of this will not be in their favor as far as bringing back those lead riders, but all they care about at this point is the points over the top of the line. Shalee's already over the top. Schumann's going to be coming over the top in a second. Nealon 33. Teresa, though, is on the attack for fourth place points right now over the first across the lines segment.
I feel like we're burying the lead here, though. I mean, 1 minute and 53-second advantage, 10.3K in, even factoring in the mega climb that she's already been over. This is the largest advantage that I've ever seen in an esports race from a solo rider back to I mean, these are not weak riders behind her. This is a collection of a lot of Premier League names, to tell you the truth. Daniela Strate, the Romanian rider, she's a consistent top 10 best in the world type rider. Ariel Verhaeren, she's an Olympian from 2012. So Engström, Swedish Zwifters, these are all very talented. I mean, she's got a minute on Gabriella Schumann. This is an incredible, incredible ride. I don't know that I've ever seen an advantage like this in 11K at this level.
Yeah, absolutely flying here at this point at 151. Julia Chalet here is obviously just next level when it comes to the competition at this point. Only 18 seconds up here for Nealon, so it looks like Schumann is given a go and has no interest whatsoever in waiting up for anybody. And I think that's the right call to make. I mean, Dave, at this point, she may still actually be thinking about whether or not she can bring back those 50. I mean, it's a crazy ask to try and make that happen. But it doesn't look like she's giving up the ghost at the kind of effort she's putting out.
So talking about it from Schumann's perspective, you have to be reasonable here. So you want second place now. You can't be thinking about winning this race. If you're her director, if you try to catch Julie, you'll get caught by Vicky and company. So I think really realistically, I mean, if you took Julie out of the picture, Gabriella Schumann is having an incredible ride. This is actually Julie that we're looking at on screen right now. Chasing behind her is the Brazilian rider who has herself a 40-second advantage at this point. So I would expect that if she can ride consistently, not blow up trying to chase an uncatchable rider, Julie Chalet is vapor at this point. If you're Gabriella Schumann, ride consistently within yourself and you've got second locked up. That's huge. Don't give up second. It's a bird in the hand versus two in the bush scenario. Take the one in the hand.
Nealon here, continuing on, 16-second gap, and she is in a tough spot here with that chasing group. They're going to be going so incredibly fast. If we start making some sort of speed comparisons, you can see the seconds come down almost by the second as Verhaaren's on the front. Now Teresa here from that BBB team. We'll start to look at some of the points at how they played through. Look at the roll through here, Dave. This is what we're talking about, the roller coaster nature of the pack and how they can just sit in on each other, roll through. And we see 98 kilometers per hour here at the top of the screen as we only saw somewhere in the 80s from Vicky Nealon. You see the seconds here just dropping drastically as they make their way down. Even with Schumann at the front here and the gap that she has, this is going to still come within danger zone with a pack that's charging that hard.
For Schumann?
I would say even for Schumann. with the kind of speed that they're pulling here. 73 kilometers per hour versus 74 here on this down here, 76. And this is not even close to a steep enough section to make a comparison.
Yeah, the good news is that the descent is only going to be 5K of that, right? So it doesn't go on forever out here. It's a short, steep descent, so you want to limit your losses out here. So you can watch. I mean, the advantage here that this is just a mind-blowing race for me. to see that big of an advantage going over the top of the climb to the Belgian rider, Julie. Absolutely incredible. Because what you're seeing from Gabriella Schumann, who it's hard to believe she's not winning this race when you look at the advantage that she has. And this is Schumann that we're with now, the Brazilian flag for the rider who's in Germany racing right now. And she's holding on. That advantage is still holding it in real time at 38 seconds. And she's come through 15K. So she's in pretty good shape. Like I said, don't wreck yourself trying to go catch an uncatchable rider, that being Schumann. Go ahead and just stay consistent here. And Gabriella, you've done a great job to win silver for your team. And then you take a look at who does Gabriella have with her here, Nathan, in our women's race now. You start looking at the rest of the points. And Gabriella with Rose Beast Mode has got a really strong squad. Maria Marb, that's certainly a rider. I'm looking back in that next group to kind of take some inventory there, because that's where this is going to really be decided. That's where all of these points will start stacking up. Schumann, tremendous job here. She's now inside of 7.5K to the finish, holding on to an advantage that for a rider this talented, she should be very confident that she can do this. This is the chasing. So you'd call them chase two. It's really the peloton, more or less, right now, with the solo rider, the Belgian up the front. Then you've got the Brazilian chasing in no woman's land right now, in between this group and our solo leader. But this is the peloton, as big a peloton as it is. Mini peloton.
Do have our segment points just coming on through from the climb, and it is going to have first across the line as well as fastest through segment. Obviously, Julie taking that down with 30 points across the board there. Schumann there with 9 and 15. Nealon with 8 and 10. And all the way down here. Davia, though, I think it looks like maybe taking out 14. Where is the BBB ride? I thought Teresa was in the mix there. Well, that is Teresa. Excuse me. Sorry, Teresa. I believe
The
they're
yellow.
coming from, yeah, with the yellow there. So excuse me on that. Verharen with a solid little kick for 12 was next to Engstrom as well. So that's the current point situation. Still lots of points up for grabs for through the sprint as well as the finish line. Makes things really interesting with the back-to-back points, because a lot of times through those sections, Dave, you're kind of trying to set up for the win, right? But with those back-to-back points, if you're a strong enough rider to be able to kind of double kick and try and get away, perhaps put them on the back foot, especially after leg snapper, it makes this finish so dynamic. So many options actually about how you want to bring the race to the other riders.
Yeah, some really heavy legs after 500 meters of climbing to get to this point. You've still got the leg snapper ahead of you. That's where the lactic acid is pooling in the bottom of your legs. Well, there's no doubt who my 5K hero is. It looks to me like we've seen one of the greatest rides in ZRL history here in the 6th and final regular season race in season 3 of 21-22. How about the Amos rider, Julie Chalet today? Gabriella Schumann would be same thing if it wasn't for Julie Chalet absolutely crushing it out here. She's done an incredible job, and looks like she's not coming back. She'll be extremely good on the leg snapper. So I think Gabriella is locking up silver right now.
It's going to be, I mean...
Still think she can be caught, huh?
25, no, not, okay, it depended on how they rode that last, like literally it was so important how they rode that last section they just came through. A little bit of a downhill here. We'll see what the seconds come into. It depends on how hard they go over the leg snapper and whether or not they work together, or if they're just thinking about counting their losses at this point. If this pack works well together, at 25, now that just went out a solid 7 to 8 seconds just a moment ago. So now Gabriella's starting to open up the gap. You can see 3.1. She's doing 5.4, well over what they are. And as it gets out to 30 again, I think she's got this solidified.
Also, if you look at that group, there's no reason to think that they would work well together. The chasing pack. It's a pretty decent mix here, but I don't think anybody wants to. So again, it's bird in the hand versus two in the bush. Do you sacrifice things right now to catch let's say you've got a 15 to 20% chance of catching Gabriella? it's not worth it to use your resources to try. Save it, get as many points, try to win 8th place. And hopefully get an 8th or a 6th. Third place. I had it flipped here. So 1st and 2nd are up the road. So getting 3rd would get you, really good points.
That's a good point, especially with Nealon and Vicky Nealon. Where is Vicky Nealon? She's actually off the back now. They dropped her. It looks
Surprise. That really is.
well, I wonder if she went back for Battersby because they're trying to battle with Aeonian, who are up the
And remember
road
when
here.
she was, yeah, and I mean, there are times where, as I was talking about, you chase too hard and you can blow yourself up and lose a whole bunch of places out there.
I'm looking at the situation and the points here as well, and that might have something to do with it because Aeonian RT are trying to defend a position. They only have Daniela Estrate up here, and perhaps Nealon is trying to get her teammate involved from WLC at the front to try and take down some more points. I mean, this may be about the overall more than anything else.
See that Ariel Verharn is the only Aeonian rider in the top 10. They've only collected 10 points today. So they're going to lose some points, Nathan, Aeonian. But I don't know that they're going to lose 5 points to Wahoo LaCool. They'll lose a couple, though. We'll have to let it all play out. We're going back to the
I think it's more about Coalition's presence here, perhaps. You think that perhaps it's about even that though? Well, it's 2 points. That's the closest battle here with the jerseys we have in front of us, with WLC and Coalition. Coalition do have 2 riders here. We've got Ukena as well as Johansson as they make their way over the top of the leg snapper. Schumann's got 37 seconds ahead now still as they're about to roll on through. And it looks
Isn't it fascinating? Sorry, it's fascinating that Beast Mode and Avis, the top 2 teams today, are nowhere near the top of the table for the season. So, if you're looking at the big picture, if you're Aeonian, those 2 riders are not your problem at all. There's
no,
nothing
not at all.
they could do.
The problem here is that Vicky Nealon's bringing Battersby back to the group with Beta. That's the situation,
huge.
right? Like
Right.
Beta's here, and Nealon gets Battersby on her wheel and says, "Let's go." And as we said earlier, the TTT expert here, the rider from Hino, knows how to push big watts, and she's riding Battersby back into this race right now.
This is tremendous from her, no doubt. This is Vicky Nealon being above and beyond. So we're talking about her chasing earlier. Well, she did go back to the group. It looks like she's helping get Wahoo LaCool back into the picture here. There's 2 Canyon riders
Look at
up
that
there.
heart rate, Dave. Battersby's suffering though. like Nealon's like, let's go, come on. I don't know if there's anything she can do at 201 beats per minute. I mean, I think that's pretty maxed out.
This is a crazy race with such a hard climb. Then the white knuckling that descent where you've got to be very, very aware that one wrong step and you're going to get dropped out of the group. And then these sprints to wrap things up here. 24K, that's a very, very spicy. Distance runner here, mid-distance runner at Ukena, learning a little bit more about her. Anna Russell giving us some good heads up. Certainly, this is going to be her kind of day. Looks like we're starting to get our bonus sprint going here now as we go from a simmer to a boil. All right,
Nathan. This is the rider you got to watch out for in a sprint, Dave. Comes over the top at 10 watts per kilogram. Boom, easy peasy. And now it looks like the defense from Beta is pretty good there. Canyon Beta team there as they put the 2nd and 3rd amongst this group across the line. That will give them 4th and 5th points for first across the line.
If you're Aeonian, that sprint right there probably has you taking the champagne and putting it into the ice bucket because they're just about ready to seal the deal on the season. If they can deliver even half of the quality of that bonus sprint at the finale, they're going to win the season.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think that that's most likely what just happened right there. Arlia Holland putting the stamp on it for Aeonian RT. Julie
And Nathan,
Chalet off the front here. Looks like she's going to take this win down. Dave, now it goes to show, though, she almost had 2 minutes. Look at how much that's come back. I mean, it is so hard to stay away from a group, especially with rolling hills. Not rolling, these aren't rolling, but with sharp descents on Zwift. They just favor a pack so much.
and she's still making 5 watts per kilo, so it's not like she shut all the systems down.
No,
and is just
exactly.
coasting
She's
in
been
on
going this
vapors.
entire
Yeah.
time, right? And she still
She
got
kept
brought
riding.
within not striking distance or anything, but I mean, the full minute
Well,
got brought back.
When's the last time you saw a rider win by a minute at this level? I've never seen it. This is one of the top 3 most impressive rides. It kind of happened quietly here today. A little bit of a weird start to the day, and it's going to hit me, I think, at some point that this was one of the best rides we've ever seen. You could even say the same about Gabriella, and I'm glad that she played her cards correctly here. This is a savvy young woman here, as the Brazilian will hold on for second place, and she's still going to have 25-ish seconds, Nathan. So Gabriella has such a bright future in sport.
Really good result. Did have
Really good.
Did have COVID last week, so still coming back from that. So good result here coming in from her, able to stay away from the group.
Most people with COVID can't go out. Most people with COVID can't even get up and go out and get the mail from the mailbox. Gabriella Schumann is on the podium at a ZRL race. She's a legend.
Johansson coming on through from Beta, gonna get at the line. No, it's gonna be Vanopa with Verhaeren Buchanan. But Vanopa takes the field sprint there for third. Nice little kick at the line as she comes across. Great to see.
Hey, the season's so important. We've got a couple races we can talk about coming up in the finale, but the regular season wrapping up today. So congratulations, ladies. And I won't speak out of school, but I think that Aeonian might just have another crown. And congratulations, but to all of our racers for a fantastic season. And thanks for being a big part of what makes this, well, you are what makes this so fun. Not a big part. Well, Nathan's the other part. And Martin. So looks like you've got another race heading out on.
Well, we do have, so
just a dude riding.
Yeah, we got a dude riding.
Training.
So he's having fun. Definitely. But we do have, so it is a little bit till our next race, everybody, at 24-21. So one thing that we are able to do then today is going to be see if we can jump across to some of the other categories. But as we wait for that, we'll start bringing in some of the results and see how they played out for today. Let's go ahead and use our pens, though, for the women's race that's coming up here in just a little bit. 23:53 to the start of that. This is going to be the Women's Zwift Racing League WTRL Women's EMEA North Division 1. As you can see, 23:37 to the start of that. For the points, though, Dave, it does look like across the line. Now, I'm not sure if these are updated with the final points just as of yet. This is where it was standing here, I believe, just prior to that sprint. Isn't it interesting how that ends up working out there with Verhaeren? Able to grab 38 points still, even though she came through for third on the day, Schumann up the road, but those fastest through segments, so incredibly crucial.
Yeah, again, though, that's not from the finish, so middle part of the race there. But yeah, you can see this is how it all works, stacking up these points. So we take a look at the women's race that just wrapped up there in our Division A women, with Julie Chalet taking the win. Ariel Verhaeren, the Olympian there, coming through for second place. Excuse me. These are the points that we've got. Sorry, Nathan. Not sure what we're... Not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, I got you, Dave.
Okay. All right.
Looks like the points are just updating here. And as they do, we can go ahead and bring in some of the results as well as far as what we just saw coming across the line. It is going to be Julie Chalet for Abus Lacole Flame Esports for 38.52, 34 seconds up from Gabriela Schumann. And it looks like Laura Vinopa through for third. Ariel Martin Verharen in for fourth for Ionian RT. The Avis Lacole team taking that first and third spot. That's really good for them in the overall there. And Gela Ukena for Canyon Esports Beta, followed up by Hannah Johansson in for sixth. It's going to be Daniela Estrate for Ionian RT and Deborah Halle for the Herd Zedson in eighth. Teresa Davitt for BBB Racing in ninth. Vicky Nealon, it looked like she did go back, I believe, to try and help out some teammates. She comes on through for 10th place.
So the times there show you how they finished, but what's really important are the points that they've earned, and those finish line points will be added into the points that we were looking at earlier, and then all of the riders will combine with their team, and that's how we'll determine who gets the 20 points for our top team. It certainly looks like Abus Lacole might be that team today, but for all intents and purposes, that's not really the storyline because they started so far down coming into the season behind the eight ball. Same thing for Beast Mode presented by Rose. So you then start looking at Aeonian Canyon as the teams that were in contention for the outright season championship. And my estimation was the Aeonian most likely had gotten that done. So it's when you look at having 14,000 racers around the planet racing, and we break it down into our divisions, and then it becomes very competitive in these groups. And this has been one of the most competitive women's divisions that we've seen. These are the A women that we're looking at.
And we do have the men's results coming on through, and we'll see if we can jump across to some of the women finishing up in the other categories. Dave, you want to take it away for the A's across the line here in Div 1?
Well, triathlete Matthew Brook with a nice win here. That was a stunner. Very efficient as well as the Wahoo Lacole A7 rider takes the win. It's Just Bush taking second place. Will Budge for third. Luis Navamule, very, very active out there. I might even give him our 5K Hero Award, actually. Peter Weir, fifth place. He's riding for the BL13 Watt Bombs, the top team coming into our final race here. We'll see if they did enough to hold on. They had a little bit of a buffer, so I think they should be in pretty good shape. We'll be able to confirm that. It's Ruben Schell, the Dutch rider here on Dutch Racing Team 1 in sixth. Anders Olsen, the Swede, on Swedish Swifters Ull in seventh. It's Jacek Karluk. Very, very good job by Jacek today as he represents Dutch Racing Team, BL13 Watt Bombs, again in the top 10 with Daniel Mundell, the United Kingdom, and then German rider Thomas Wagner for the Punchers Club rounds out our top 10. So we'll take all of that, move it into our points table, then combine them with their teammates and see who the top teams were out here today. You can always go to WTRL.racing for any of the results that you're looking for. That's where you'll find them all.
And it looks like in the B category, Andrew Nero comes on through out of the EMEA East Div 1, followed up by Gunther Hoffman, 1 second, 41. Wow, there's a close one actually here. It looks like it was a 4-up sprint to the line with Gunther Hoffman from the Sports Solid B. Evo Oryx there from Stuart Rimmer in third. Dean Bleasby from Engard in fourth place. Philippe Boderdal for Sports Solid B. In fifth, Cassandra Rush. In sixth, looks like racing in the mixed category. Good on Cassandra for on the rivet girthy wieners here. Louise Adam there for seventh place. Tim Clairbout in eighth. Maritz Rohrman in ninth. And Jaco Storm for the Evo Oryx in 10th. Big shout out to Crush It. Crushing it amongst the men in sixth in the B category for EMEA East Div 1 for OTR. See if some of the C category riders have come over the top of that climb. Matteo's at the top, Dave.
Yeah, the Italian, Matteo Gotti, finishing up there for Scanalatori Seriali C. Congratulations. That's a big win on a tough course here in our EMEA East Division 1A Cs. Division 1Cs, excuse me. It's going to be Andrew Ellis, the American, for RR Gray Woolly Rhinos in second. That's your silver medal winner. And then the bronze standard, Paul Jennings for EN Greybirds in third. Stefan Veresic, fourth for Kirkmeyer, C1 Stinging Bees. Heard of Marvelous Morgans is the team for the Englishman Clayton McNeil. Sixth place for Mark Wood for the Engravers. Seventh for Swede Eric Exney of Swedish Swifters Mode team. Oh, that I apologize. That's not England there for fifth. I'm going down then to eighth place. And Martin Ashton, Coalition Horizon rider. Marco Trecchi's the Italian for Scanalatori, along with his teammate Alberto Peresenda there, rounding out our top 10 for the C's.
And last but not least, we'll see how the D category is rounded out here. It is going to be Dave Holding with a solid 2.7 watts per kilogram, 51.34. Daz Scott for the WCC Soup Dragons. They take first and second, followed up by TFC Ghost Riders for Dan in third place, 51.28. Close sprint at the line, actually, as it was Dave Holding that did get away from the rest of the group, it looks like. David Robotham there in fourth for TBR Hard Knocks. TBR Hard Knocks also take fifth place with Sean Clark. And Mark Merkin in sixth place for the Belgian Zwift Riders Gorillas. Vera Efimova in seventh place there for Cryogen Koppenberg. It's going to be Daniel D's Biking in eighth place for Swedish Swift Racers. Matthias de Weld for the Belgian Swift Riders Gorillas 1. And then it is Thomas Tibling, ZWDL Deluxe in 10th place. That's the current situation for the results. On the women's side for the Bees rider, we've been trying to jump across. I really am right now, and I've been unable to do so so far for the rest of the women that are getting across the line in the B and the C and the D category. As you can see, we do have 29 minutes to the start of the EMEA Northwest for the men, 14 minutes to go to the start for the women. We're going to take a short break just for about, we'll give it about 10 minutes, everybody. Short break, 10 minutes, and we'll be right back here for the North Division for EMEA Women's, as well as the Northwest for the men. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in just 10 minutes for the rest of the racing today.
Let them see your perfect imperfections. Don't hide from bad feeling, 'cause they just want your words. I won't let them take me. No, I won't let them break me. No one on this earth can bring me down. Now I'm standing tall. I won't ever fall. Concentrate on the tightrope. The hope that you make it through to the other side. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Let them see your perfect imperfections. Don't hide from bad feeling, 'cause they just want your words, 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 words. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Now I'm standing tall. I will never fall. Concentrate on the tightrope. The hope that you'll make it through to the other side. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon again, everybody. Welcome back to the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We are out on the World of the 2018 UCI Worlds course. We're in Innsbruck. Dave, it's a solid climb followed by a couple of sprints. It's fast racing, though. It's over a lot quicker than, with a big climb like this with the A's and A categories, though. It does, they get the suffering out of the way quick, and then bam, it's straight to the finish line. I mean, it isn't like it's, sometimes you think it's going to be this like hour and a half situation, but actually we're getting done in about 33 minutes with the front runners.
It's amazingly quick. They scoot right up that climb. I mean, it's 500 meters of climbing here today. I mean, again, it's really about the same severity as the leg snapper, which is the final, the little kicker that they get before they go into the finale of this race. But you're right. It's over before you know it, but you're in a whole world of pain there for about half an hour. That's for sure. So 24K of racing, a lot of points on the line. And we're going to jump right. I've always wondered, can Katie Loker climb? Well, we're going to find out here. I've got her on my start list. She's in the field. She's proven herself to be one of the best sprinters that we've seen in esports this year. We'll find out how what kind of range she has out here today, because this is a legit climb.
Yeah, I saw her 2 days ago. She stopped into one of the live streams I was doing for some training, and I was like, "What's going on, Katie?" And she said, "I just got done doing some recons a couple of times up the climb." So she's been seeing what she can handle over the top of the climb. She's taking this really seriously, actually. So as far as today goes, I don't think she's messing around. So we'll see what she can pull off, because Electric Spirit Co. and the rest of that crew, I think, are going to be all hands on deck. It's 1 minute, 4 seconds to the start of the Northern Division for EMEA. Let's go ahead and jump right down into the pens and watch them take off. Actually, let's go ahead and head on over to Cy Bradley here real quickly and see what he had to say as we get our show started again about what they have to take on for this course out in the Innsbruck world.
Hey Zwifters, welcome to Innsbruck for stage 6, the final stage before we move on to the semi-finals and the finals of the Continental Trophies. 24 kilometers in total, just shy of 500 meters of elevation. So as we roll through this start-finish banner, sadly, you're going to be picking up no power-ups today, but we do have 2 time segments. One 15 to 30 minute climb, dependent on your category, and then one sprint segment right at the end of the course. But first, we're going to take on this, the Innsbruck KQOM. 7.5 kilometer climb. There are places to attack and there are places to sit in the wheels on this climb. But the final 500 meters are fairly flat, so if you've still got some people around you with sprinters' legs, you want to make sure you drop them before this point. First across the line, and the fastest through segment on this climb. We're then going to descend back towards Innsbruck before we hit the leg snap of this 500 meter power climb before we take the right hand turn at the top and head towards that sprint segment. We've then got a short undulating descent towards this sprint segment. First across the line and the fastest through available here. But what I love about this sprint, it's so close to the finish line. So what are these riders going to do? Roll straight over the top and go for those finish line points? Or do you have the strength to pick up the segment and the finish line points? Good luck and ride on.
Well, let's jump right down into the action as the ladies do take off out on course. And as you can see, it is going to be a solid pack here of about, I think there's going to be is about 50 or so jumping in here. Actually, no, there's a front group of only 33. It looks like a couple already off the back, interesting enough. So as we jump out, the teams to be watching here today, Dave, in this crew for the women's standings right now. For Zwift Racing League WTRL Women's EMEA North Div 1, Wahoo Lacole, Team Italy, presented by Castelli. It's going to be Roca Corba Collecta, Electric Spirit Co., as well as NZ Bro are in here. WTRL Firestorm, Draft ZRL, and then SZ does have a team that showed up for one race, so we'll see if they have shown up with any riders out here today. Perhaps a scratch, though, but that is the current situation for the standings.
Actually, relatively select racing that we've seen here. So Team Italy's in with the shot. So the problem for them, Nathan, is exactly that. There's not a lot of other teams that they can rely on to help them pick up some points on Wahoo Lacole. So for Wahoo Lacole today, that's the team in the blue and purple, really about just maintaining a solid effort throughout the season here. It's Beatrice Boccalini for Team Italy, along with Chiara Doni, Fabia Maramotti. They do have a Canadian on the squad, Morgan Cabot, Silvia Pollicini, and Vale Boss. These are the riders that are going to look to upset Wahoo Lacole, but they've been so strong all year. This is the team of the Welsh rider, Amy Williams, Dade Taylor, the Irish woman, Katy Perry, also Welsh from the United Kingdom is Lindsay Cassie, American Mandy Hagman, and Molly Seville on this squad as we have the ladies rolling out. The previous women's race that we had absolutely dominated by a couple of riders, actually, a solo breakaway and then another rider who broke away. Well, it's all started like this, nice and calm until they got to the bottom of the climb, and then it just went ballistic out there. And I'd expect the same from this group. You got to hang on what is one of the most challenging climbs that we've seen in ZRL history.
On the front, it does look like it's going to be Pyrenees Hey with Niall here. That's going to be one of the NZ Bro riders. I do see Katie Loker in the orange kit there with the headband, as she tends to go Anna Russa style a lot of times when it comes to the Fashion Police. A lot of the Electric Spirit Co. actually on the left-hand side of the screen here at this point. Roca Corbin now looking to set up toward the front as well. Perry now making her way to the front here from WLC as they are all starting to anticipate this climb. It does come at them very quickly. They're about to get onto the lower slopes right now. 3% green as they take their way toward the under the highway bridge there in just a moment. Left-hand turn and right onto the climb. It is going to be somewhere between 17 to 20 minutes or so if we do make a comparison to the last women's race. And already Electric Spirit Coke making a little bit of move here, Dave, on the front. And
Certainly applying the pressure, that's for sure. As a matter of fact, here we go. So the climb proper starts at about 4K, but I would say, I mean, obviously they're descending right now as they go underneath the overpass here, but you're pretty much climbing from 2K up to 10.5K where the QOM is. And I have a feeling, get ready for a lot of orange. Let's see how the Italians are going to respond here, Nathan.
Robson 4.0 on the front. Does look like Gilbert here following that up, looking to get into maybe a 2 up the road and work together. There are sections that definitely work together on this climb. Nevin coming across from draft, and Loker just sitting in at a steady 4-5, not chasing her teammates down as she allows Team Italy. It looks like this is going to come back together pretty quickly. It doesn't get too steep at the bottom half here just as of yet, but some already struggling, Dave, on the back. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, it's the pressure that they're applying on the front here. There's always going to be a little bit of a surge as you come into the bottom part of a climb. Sometimes it's a flat-out race to try to position your climbers on the team. Not so much the case here as the cream will rise to the top. A group of this size, everyone's going to get a crack at it. But you're right, Nathan. They go hard early here. That Canadian flag is actually one of the Italian team riders here, the team sitting in second place on the season. You can see they've got 3 points to make up. So they'll certainly be looking for Electric Spirit and Roca Corba to throw them a hand here. We learned earlier this week that NZ Bro, the BRO, you can think of it, well, it doesn't really apply here for the women. It's not a bro fest. That stands for New Zealand Bicycle Racing Online. We learned that. And Pretty Hey Hey is the Princesses. And they're certainly a team that has always been in the mix. This is going to be draft that we're looking at now, the team in red. And the Norwegian rider, Annie Nevin, here off the front. But they're going to respond to that now. Wahoo Lacole just kind of regulating things up on the front here, Nathan. It's certainly their season. They just want to cap this one off with a solid ride out here today in Innsbruck. 24K with one solid climb that they are just hitting the bottom slopes of now.
Williams over the top, it looks like, quickly covering, as you did say. It looks like Loker is right there. We were asking the question, can Katie Loker climb? And looks so far like she is going ahead and proving that that may be within her arsenal, but it is just getting into the 10% gradients. Now the real question is going to start coming to the surface. At 159 beats per minute, I think she's still got plenty to work with, but they're just getting started, Dave. This is really the first minute or two of this climb. Cassie now making her way to the front, as you can see, 5.1, 5.2, applying a little bit of a pressure. And now we're going to start seeing things really string out. Look at this here, Dave. That Peloton is absolute pain cave right now, as you can see.
Well, And it's no surprise to see Lindsay Cassie up on the front, the Wahoo Lacole rider. She sits on 5.2 watts per kilo as her 20-minute power. That's outstanding. The one rider that I think can go toe-to-toe with her out here, and this is where we might see, for the first time all season, Katie Locher really being put to the test, because this is going to be the Italian Chiara Doni. Exceptionally talented, and Doni is sitting up on the wheel here of Lindsay Cassie. So those are going to be the two names that we expected to see. The Angels now flying off the front of this group. Katie Locher represents. So for a rider who's been identified as one of the best sprinters in esports right now, Katie Locher's clearly got some range, no doubt about it. Outstanding job by the Norwegian in red and 11 as she fills in that gap. It's going to be another one of the Italians, Nathan, making the front group. Let's see if they can stretch this out now, as that is going to be Beatrice Boccolini. They're tagging herself onto this front group. And look at this. It's blown to bits here outside of Innsbruck proper. Someone right now lit a fuse, and that is Lindsay Cassie, the Wahoo Lacole rider, coming in on the top team as one of the most threatening climbers in this group, and she's living up to that now.
Boccolini coming in from the Italian team going across. Are they going to get two into this group here now at this point? Electric Spirit Co. really on the back foot. It's got Katie Locher 1 second back. And then from there, there's only going to be one rider still with even in striking distance here. This is going to be Gio. And then from there, it's Kent. But Dave, there's a group going away that does not have Electric Spirit Co. involved at all at the front here. At 87 points, it doesn't really put them out of where they are currently. They'll hold on to their fourth. I would say pretty easily here. But it's Roca Corba Collective here are sending one rider up the road. Now look at this though. Look at the gap that has opened up here as Cassie, Donnie, Nevin, all three of them.
They're
4
gone.
seconds, just absolutely demolishing this pack.
And it's only going to get worse here. They've got that sledgehammer out, and they are wailing away. So this advantage goes over 30 seconds by the top of the QOM, Nathan, in my estimation. Let's see if Boccolini can get up there. Her teammate would love it. The Italians are trying to desperately overtake Wahoo Lacole. The problem for them is that Lindsay Cassie is setting tempo here. Cassie is a one-woman wrecking crew here on the front. So the Italians are trying to get numbers right now, but Cassie's having none of that as she's just destroying this bike race right now. So we saw earlier Julie doing the same thing in the Belgian rider for Avis, and in this case, it's going to be Lindsay Cassie here wailing away. And the only rider able really to respond is going to be Chiara Doni, the Italian, and she's even having trouble holding on to this wheel as we're just into the middle, not even the middle part of this climb right now. And I have a feeling that Cassie is gone. One rider, Doni, looks like she's going to be able to hold on at this point, and she's scraping the bottom of the barrel here, and that's going to pop the cork now, as I think Nevin is more likely to settle back into what's going to become Group 2. Doni gets a ton of credit here. The Italian really rising above after a flurry of watts being thrown from Lindsay Cassie at the Italian. It's going to be Chiara Doni who survives here, but she's still on the ropes now. It looks like Cassie is just loaded for bear, and it's throwing body blow after body blow right now at Chiara Doni. This is the tête de la course. It's turned into an absolute Donnybrook now as the gap has gone over 15 seconds to Ann Nevin and Beatrice Boccolini. These are riders 3 and 4 on course. The super sprinter Katie Locher for Electric Spirit Co. is now falling at about 27 seconds back, and she might have Amy Williams with her there. So this is really sorting itself out now. They're letting the legs do the talking. Fabia Maramotti is the Italian rider, putting 3 Italians in the top 10. So big picture for the Italian team, Nathan. They're not having a bad ride at all. We're looking at Katie Locher right now on the middle part of the climb. Katie Locher certainly showing that she's a very, very impressive all-around rider.
Boccolini now 9 seconds up from here, trying to chase down Nevin. As you can see, it's going to be a 2 up for third and fourth on the road right now. Donnie continues to keep Cassie within striking distance. Cassie keeps just setting this hard tempo, and at 186 beats per minute, you have a feeling when you watch this kind of a move go, this is a rider who marked this race day and said, this is my day. I'm going all in today. And these climbers, they love these days. If you look at the 15 seconds from this rider here, 10 watts per kilogram or so, she can't handle perhaps some of the sprints that some of these other riders have at that top level, like Loker. So she said, okay, when I show up today, I'm going to give all that I have for that 5.21 watts per kilogram for 20 that she's shown. And now, goodbye to Donnie, it seems. Now, Donnie has responded over and over again.
Yeah, but you can only go to that well so many times, right? I think that Lindsay Cassie's played this very smart. She's kept her on the ropes, and now it's time to hit out, and she is. That gap is going up. So Lindsay Cassie's punching tickets left, right, and center here in Innsbruck. Watch that gap, Nathan. When you pop the balloon, all the air goes out. So Donnie, just like we were talking about with Gabriella Schumann earlier, she needs to focus now on riding her race and not absolutely destroy herself trying to catch Lindsay Cassie now. She needs to settle in and realize that it's her teammate that's right behind her, Beatrice Boccalini here with Annie Nevin, the only draft rider in this race, kind of a wild card today, sitting back and forth wheel. But Cassie looks like another repeat performance of what we saw in our previous women's race. One rider with exceptional talent and courage, proving that in order to win, you've got to risk losing, and she is not shied away. Lindsay Cassie is rampaging up this climb right now.
10-second gap opened up in the last minute of climbing or so. I mean, that was a monster attack just a moment ago. Donnie trying to respond at 6.0, not going to happen. As Cassie continues, really solid moment here. It looks like she's done some recon perhaps, or is just playing this smart in the moment here, because when you do see the red numbers in the upper right-hand corner, 9-10%, the accelerations matter the most really there. As long as you can stay consistent after doing them, you will gain the most amount of time when it gets sharpest on those gradients. And Cassie's doing exactly that. Very smart ride by her. We'll see if the consistency is there, and I think it is. At 5.9 right now, I mean, this is
she's making more watts per kilo than she's actually at another level from the chase. The only rider who's close is going to be Chiara Doni, the Castelli Italian rider there in second. Everybody else is about a watt per kilo average down below her. And all she's doing is adding another second every 100 meters right now. It's gone to 110. It's 51 back to the Nevin Boccalini group, 17 to Doni. So it'll be over 30 to Doni by the time we go over the top. This is a command performance right now. She's going to do the same thing. This is going to be Wahoo Lacole is going to win the season, and they're going to win it with one of the season's most impressive rides happening right here, right now in Innsbruck. Lindsay Cassie is putting her name down as one of the most talented esports racers that we've got right now in WTRL ZRL. Holy cow. So 20 seconds now. Literally 4 minutes ago, that advantage was 2 seconds. So she is flying away from the Italian at this point. The gap is over 1:20 to the main peloton. They won't see her again until they're having coffee at the finish line.
So far in this season of the ZRL, Cassie has been a standout rider, actually. A little earlier I said perhaps unable to take down some sprints, though she has taken two second places, 2 first places, and a 3rd place so far for the 5 races. It does look like she's very new to the world of racing.
How many times was that to Loker in those sprints?
It's a good question.
Is that who she's? I think almost all of them would be my guess. I'm going to try to find that data myself here.
Lizzie Brooke taking out the first one, so her teammate.
Okay. Lizzie Brooke not on the start list today, I believe. Her husband, Matt, won a race earlier today. I'm going to guess that she probably had a triathlon this last weekend.
I did see some traveling from Lizzie in her feeds. So
big weekend for triathletes, obviously.
And Lindsay Cassie, from what I'm seeing here, actually getting the better of a lot of these riders. And I wonder if Loker perhaps jumping across divisions today. I'm taking a look here and seeing.
I'm starting to think that might be like, yeah,
Katie Tate
I'm
took
starting.
21st actually back in the Libby Hill after party a little ways back. But Katie, I think, is just a standout rider when it comes to grabbing a lot of the sprints and the points throughout the race rather than maybe the first across the line. Now, speaking to Lindsay's past results, though, this rider here is only been racing in Zwift, it looks like, from December of 2021. So newer to the world of Zwift racing, jumping in with this Wahoo Lacole team, most likely picked up with the leadership that Lizzie Brooke is on that team, because I am looking at her in real life results, and it is saying that she is dabbling in triathlon since 2018. She's an age group winner at the Ironman 70.3 Dubai 2019.
Oh,
So
almost
very,
assuredly a friend of Lizzie then would be, or
yeah.
maybe even
So
a coached athlete, right?
coming in here, I think a lot of these newer, because actually this Wahoo Lacole team, as I look through a lot of their riders, I am seeing, as well as the Italian riders here with this team, Italy, or Castelli, they newer to the world of Zwift racing actually just in the last year or so. And these new athletes coming in specifically for the Zwift Racing League, as well as the WTRL TTT, and just showing this dominating performance. So the level just keeps on getting higher and higher as
Yeah.
they look to train throughout the spring and into the summer.
I watch GCN quite a bit this time. Oh well, all year, but it is extremely cool. Some of the racing that goes on. They don't just show the Giro d'Italia. They'll show you races like the Tour of Bretagne or some of the next tier of racing, and a whole bunch of familiar names. Emile Towle won a stage the other day. I'm sure you recognize that name from ZRL racing, and he actually had a flat tire, and they had to service him when I first noticed he was in the race. And then at the end of the race, he won. And it's extreme. Tugels, Leonard Tugels, also you'll see out there racing on TV quite a bit. So it's very, very interesting when you see how many top level triathletes and professional racers quietly race in the ZRL with us, and don't blow their own horn about it. They just like to get the fitness, and the quality of competition is incredibly high. Let's go back and pick up Katie Loker's group right now, Nathan, as she's got Maramote and Williams with her. Amy Williams there in the blue and purple. She's the Welsh rider. Right in the middle is going to be Katie Loker with the Anna Russell approved orange headband. And then that's going to be the Italian. It's great having this Italian team. They race under the flag of Costelli, and that's Fabia Maramote that's now taking the front of the group here, the bull by the horns. She's actually attacking out of this group here on a steep part of the climb. 8% grade, as you can see up in the top right-hand corner there, is they've got about another kilometer, 1.2K or so until they hit the QOM banner up here. Fabio Maramote having a tremendous ride right now. She's putting some quality riders in trouble here on the climb.
Maramote here, 5.1, steady. Now 7 watt per kilogram, a little kick there. 8% gradient as she pushes her heart rate to 173, putting the WLC rider on the back foot a little bit to try and make the chase. Katie's sitting in. Very smart move here.
Cassie is now 2 minutes and 22 seconds up on a lot of riders out here. So what is going on with this course, Nathan? We've seen this happen already today with unbelievable rides. So you nailed it. If you're a climber, an FTP type rider, this is your Christmas morning, right? You only get a few of these a year. Well, this is your day. You really have a chance to go do what you do, as Lindsay Cassie is right now, our solo leader. 1 minute up on Donny at this point. I estimated it would be at 30 seconds when she hit out. She doubled my, I would say, aggressive estimation. This woman is in fuego right now. Lindsay Cassie, you are a legend.
And as
They won't.
she makes her way through, 58 seconds, not going to be seen again. Donnie, I think, with an even bigger gap than we saw from Schumann in the previous women's race. So the question here for this chase here with Draft and then behind here with Loker, they're trying to get rid of Loker because Loker still has the opportunity to grab points across the sprint and the finish. And I wouldn't necessarily want to be coming to the line with Loker. You want to break her early here rather than have her in tow to be anywhere near the top 10 still.
You have to know what the team's objectives are because right now for Wahoo Lacole, it's sort of it's neither here nor there with her, with Loker, because they're in such good shape with their Lindsay Cassie up the road now. They've got a 4-point, maybe a 3-point advantage coming into this race. So right now, Loker could sprout wings and start flying, and it wouldn't really matter. Because they're sitting, her team is what, 5th place right now, Electric Spirit? 4th place, maybe. But Electric Spirit was not their danger team. The Italians are, right? As far as if I remember correctly, the Italians were 3 points back, and then Electric Spirit was maybe in 4th place at about 7 points.
I think what Katie's thinking is just to, if I were in her head at this point, she's going to sit on Williams' wheel and wait for the moments that she can shine.
Agreed.
But Mara
and beat her in the
here
sprint
from Castelli
for sure.
now trying to get away and not have that reality and maybe even get across to those two up front at some point.
See, that's actually so. Unfortunately for Italy, they're running out of real estate so quickly right now that there's no path to victory to beat Wahoo Lacole for the season. But what she's doing, if they wanted to, is really smart. Fabia not having to sprint with Loker because Loker really what is the wild card that takes points off of the table for the Italians in their bid. Because right now, if you look at it, Doni. Does she hang on for second? I think so. I would feel pretty assured. So what Beatrice Boccolini is doing right now is helping them to win the day. If they do win the day, they'll get 20 points. And I think the Italians, Nathan, I bet you they do win the day, actually, looking at everything, because you've got Boccolini and Maramotti now, along with Doni. So they've got 3 riders sitting up in the top 5. They're in very good shape to win the day. But even winning the day, they're only going to pick up 1 point on Wahoo Lacole. So ultimately, Wahoo Lacole will win the season, and they'll win the race today. So that's pretty good. That's about all you can hope for in the sport of cycling. Winning the season and winning the day. 2nd, 3rd, 5th, they all matter. And clearly, in this case, they might win the team the day, but ultimately, the top step of the podium is the most coveted square meter on planet Earth. So we're going to go back now. It looks like you've got the guys just on to the climb. The women, well, Lindsay Cassie, well on to the descent right now. She's holding on to over a 2-minute advantage on most of the field. The guys, though, Nathan, it looks like they're turning the screws here. A select group starting to roll away here.
Yeah, and we do have Hexagon presented by Cyrus 3 here, 95 points currently on the season. Team Rheinhessen Rakuten is going to be the 2nd place team. Burrito Titans, followed by Count Mien, Enzebro Figwit, and then Wheelie Dirty, Vegan Aardvarks, and Dirt Wolfpack 2, R3R Dev. That's your top 9 right now within the WTRL Northwest Div 1A. And to the front now, R3R taking over. The climbers are starting to shine as they usually do. Hexagon, that's been that new team out of the community, Dave, both in the ZRL community as well as we've seen in the knockouts. They're going head to head tomorrow, Dave. That's going to be an interesting one.
I'm stoked. Yeah, they're a fun team. It's a French squad. They've come on strong. And as we noted with Beast Mode presented by Rose, they've got a social media machine around them. Extremely fun to watch what they're doing. I'm a big fan of Hexagon. Nathan, I got to turn my attention to NZ, bro, the Figwigs here, as that's going to be Ruthie attacking it now. And he's going to put some sting in the legs here. A little bit of a split opening up between himself and a group that's starting to organize. That's going to be one of the big talents that we've got out here. Stefan van Elst of the Avis Lecole team leading the chase actually not leading the chase right now, but sitting back in this front group. I think it's going to come back together as about a group of 10 riders here on the front, 7K in already, Nathan. So they're only 7K in and they've done 222 meters of climbing. Boy, it comes at you really thick here in the beginning. 500 meters, well, 496 to be exact, is the total amount of climbing. So they're almost halfway through the climbing. They're not even halfway up this climb. Yikes.
Van Elst now comes across. It is a 2-second gap, but it looks like Hexagon are going to cover that. Tequila's there as well. Frenchman also coming from Hexagon. Hinch from R3R Dev now looking to come across. It looks like that is going to cause some separation as AW may be struggling, may be able to break and snap the elastic a little bit more. And at a steady 6.3 here, now 6.4, this is when it really gets steep and you can put the hurt on the rest of the riders at those 9-10% and more gradients here. And whether or not they carry speed over these sections too and kind of open up those gaps even more so. A lot of times you look for a little reprieve after these really sharp sections. This does not do justice at all, this current view as to, there we go. Like right here, this gives
That's
you an
better.
idea, 11% gradient right now as they are about to level out. And whether or not they punch right here or they back off a little bit is going to be really an answer as to whether or not they pick up speed through this leveling out for a moment. And that really is what opens up the gaps if there is a group working together. Behind now, it does look like Tahilo just going to get on. Hinch trying to come across. You know, this is a moment of truth for the rider. He's going to just do it. And with the draft right here, Dave, this might save his ride.
Yeah, this is huge. This is why you never give up. You're witnessing that moment. If he wins the bike race, this is Hinch that we're talking about. Remember this moment as he fights through, and that's certainly what the sport is all about. So this is the vanguard, a very select group here. They've got a little over 2 more kilometers of climbing. As you said, Nathan, this is the difference maker here. The top riders will push on exactly as they are doing here. The German rider there on the front just hit the accelerator through that flat section. That's the gameplay. That's the Zwift craft as they carry even more speed and momentum. I don't know that they're going to split the group here, to tell you the truth, as if you've made this selection, clearly you're on a brilliant day of racing. But look at Hinch moving up to the front. Ruth is there. Van Elst remains, in my mind, the danger man in this group. Steenakker is another one of the Belgians that we'll be keeping our eye on. Hexagon, well represented, though. Tegilo and Fell are 2 of the Hexagon riders that have made this selection. So this thing is turning into a Donnybrook here in Innsbruck. That is going to be, is that Steenakkers coming out of the group?
Yeah, 6 seconds back now at this point. So just fading back to AW. Him and AW looks like they're going to be working together. The dirt team and SBSD here now. As that's going to be Count Me In, actually. I think that this rider's riding for because of the jersey you can see there. The Belgian rider. I wonder if that's a Belgian team. Is Van Elsten the same? Yeah, Count Me In. That's going to be the same kit that we do see there, the Bumblebee kit. A lot of times we call it.
Get so used to that being Kirkmeyer's signature kit, you forget that's available for everybody.
Kirkmeyer has their own kit in game. So this is going to be...
Did that used to be Kirkmeyer's kit?
Yeah,
that's right.
I think they used this in the past. I believe they did use this in the past, and then they got their own kit that looks similar, really similar to the Bumblebee kit, or the yellow, black and yellow here. But Count Me In at 87 points. They're really solidified where they're at here. They're just in a defending position, really. You got to finish the race out here today with enough in the top spots. TRR are there as well.
Yeah, we haven't had any of those cliffhanger last race of the season here for any of our divisions so far today. No ties coming into today's 6th of 6 regular season events. We do have our 2 final events to talk about. I know people are excited about what's coming up here. Had a chance to read about that on Zwift Insider. You can always go to find great information about what's happening on Zwift. But WTRL, as usual, Nathan, is trying out some new things. The teams don't have to participate, but we certainly encourage them to and hope that they will. Ride with us on Tuesday, the 17th, and then the following Saturday, the 21st.
Looking at
That's after.
the women's race. Let's go jump back on over into that real quickly. But Dave, yeah, the finals is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. What I love about the finals, and the main takeaway for that, is everyone that's participating is got a chance at battling for a cup at the end. So, and making your way through a tournament style to race all the way to the finals. So it's really, I really enjoy what WTRL has done there. And we'll get some more information up about that in just a few moments here. 20 seconds is the gap to the main group that's up ahead in the men's race. But in the women's race, Cassie with a minute 20 at this point. Very similar to what we saw in the race prior for the women, as it was Chile and Gabriela Schumann for first and then second. It does look like WLC and Castelli are going to pull off something similar here. So there's a little bit of a chase group, though, with Nevin and Bossellini. And a lot of, like, no women's land situations going on here a little bit more, though, with these chases.
Yeah. Yeah, there was nowhere to hide, as Kate Bates would say out here. Is the Italians look like they've done a tremendous job, though, of keeping riders up inside the top 5, top 10. It's going to be a day, though, for Lindsay, no doubt about it, as you're right. Very, very similar, not only with the solo leader, but having another rider in that gap. So almost like 2 solo rides off of the front, as that's going to be Chiara Doni sitting second wheel here. As the women are now down to 2.2K to go. This is the men that we're looking at here. And Stefan van Elst up on the front here as they're about to go into a fastest through segment and the KOM up here in Innsbruck, on top of that one of the toughest climbs that we see, Innsbruck KOM.
He just went full gas attack just a moment ago over the top of the final gradient. That was an amazing attack, actually. I was super impressed by that. 6 seconds opened up over the Hexagon rider. Split the group, actually. It's now only 3. Hinch goes backwards. Teguilo goes backwards as well. Now it's going to be a group of 3 chasing the solo rider with 5 seconds now. B. Ruth now starts to ramp things up. Van El sees that coming and jumps again to 8.8 watts per kilogram as it's about to level out, and those points are at risk, so he's not going to let this come back easily here. Ruth now up into 7.1. The TRH rider here, is that going to be, I'm going to see if I can get a name on that as it's in-game a little bit. Is that going to be Sven, perhaps? See if I can figure that one out for you. And actually going to make a catch, it looks like, with Fell from Hexagon over the top. Is that going to be enough speed? I don't think to catch the rider up front, no, but still, solid kick, and that is going to be for the second place points. Van Elst with a solid 4, got enough of a gap to hold on. 3 riders behind, going to settle for that second, third, and fourth.
So I would imagine Stefan will sit up and wait for Pierre Fell here and company. As I don't think he wants to continue soldiering on alone at this point. A little bit of company here, 4-rider group with a 30-second advantage back to the Hinch-led second group. Hinch, Teguilo, Steenacker it's actually just a 2-rider group sitting there behind what I imagine will be 4 riders coming together as they start the descent now. It's a fast one. Nathan was talking in a previous broadcast about riders getting their 100-kilometer-per-hour badge on this descent on the race on Saturday with electricspirit.co.
Take a quick look at the ladies as Lindsay Cassidy.
They should
from
be
WLC.
finishing.
Yeah, she's crossing the line in 37-ish minutes or so. So solid result here for Cassie as she comes across. 6 watts per kilogram, steady, 187 beats per minute. This is a walk-away ride here from Lindsay Cassie. Completely.
How do you not
away.
give her all the prizes? 5K hero, winner of the race. Great job by Lindsay Cassie for Wahoo Lacole. And I have a feeling that that's just going to be icing on the cake for season 3 of 2021-2022. Chiara Donnie had an exceptional ride here today as the Silver Standard's going to bring it on home here. And if you take a look at the number of Castelli riders sitting up on our top 5, I think Castelli's going to win the day today, Nathan, and that's the name of the game. But shouldn't be enough to overhaul Wahoo Lacole after all the work they've done this season. But the Italians making a late charge. Andiamo, Chiara Doni, as she's going to bring this one home. Her teammates right behind her, but before that, we'll have the Norwegian coming across the line. That's Annie Nevin. But you can see now the points here that Lindsay Cassie picked up. Did not miss a step all day long, as she's already across the line enjoying a nice cold one, I hope, as this is going to be, boy, you get a feel for how exceptional that ride was from Lindsay Cassie today, as everybody else is still way out on course here.
Yeah, full minute plus walk away there for Cassie. Did you see also taking massive points for WLC? I'm not even sure they're going to be challenged, really. I mean, at the end of the day, Italy are going to maybe win it out because they will stack the top 5 with the first across the line points.
Oh, I think they have to. Look
finish
at they've got
line?
2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 8th. And they're going to pick up 2nd place points here, 3rd place points at Boccolini. There's no doubt Italy wins the day in my mind. They got a lot of points here.
Cassie's got a gap. Let's see here. So at 60 points, and then what does she get for across the line for finishing?
50.
50 points. That puts her over 110. But I think you're right, Dave. The gap there's just not enough because as Italy comes across these next sections and they start to rack up points, it starts to grow, and they're already overtaking that lead. So Team Italy definitely going to be able to do so and win the day, but that is not going to be enough for this season. But that's a big win here for Team Italy.
It is
the day.
On a unique course too, so that's got to be encouraging for the Italians, as this was an outlier of a day in the ZRL 6 race season. This certainly had the hardest climb, a day for the climbers to shine, and they certainly did.
40 points for first place finish, Martin. Thank you. Appreciate
Oh,
that.
40 for first. Apologize.
Nevin now, a little bit of a jump, 7.5, and it looks like Draft are going to get the better, though, of for third place. Borsellini unable to respond. Nevin played it really smart out here today. I actually want to highlight that, as I did watch throughout most of the race. It did look like a very cagey ride, very smart ride by Nevin to be able to pull off that third place for Team Draft. And now looking behind here, Kent actually, rather than Loker trying to hang on early, unable to do so, and ends up fading backwards. On the day, it's going to be Kent actually for Electric Spirit Co. trying to hang on to Cabot's wheel, not able to do so. And Maramati across the line ahead of this for 5th place. Cabot's going to take 6th. And as you said, the Italians continue to really stack these top spots. Loker is here actually looking to sprint her teammate 10 watts per kilogram, but her teammates just got a better FTP effort, I believe, and the speed turnover from Loker not going to be able enough to get the better of her teammate. 8th, 9th place to Williams, and it will be Deeth here for
Makes
Loker
no
Cole,
difference.
Rounding out the top 10.
Those points all go into the same basket, whether it was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But if she were a crab we were throwing back into the ocean, I think it made a difference to her, right?
Right, exactly. All right, so the guys now so that descent really, they hightailed down it. They're back onto the flats. They've got one little kicker to look forward to, Nathan. Although I don't think we've seen the race necessarily won or lost on the leg snapper back in Innsbruck, but it's certainly a brutal little sector to get through. This is Pierre Fell that we're with now, the Hexagon rider. I wonder if he's racing tomorrow. I'm going to kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I don't recognize the name necessarily either when it comes to knockouts,
Right.
so we'll see perhaps. But up against one of the best teams in the this is going to be such a great race tomorrow, actually, when it comes to
Actually, if you think about it, so not a long race today, a good opener. Tomorrow's knockouts does have a hill climb element. If Pierre Fell can do this, he's a damn good climber. Maybe he is racing tomorrow.
Be interesting to see.
We'll find out.
They had a great little
Yeah.
promo. Really enjoyed that promo that the Hexagon team did put out. We'll see how they roll tomorrow. I mean, if they can come from the bottom of the, not the bottom, but if they can come out of the community and take on the top esports teams in the world and win in the knockouts, it'd be cool to see, especially with all of the differentiation in the racing tomorrow rather than just straight crit
Tomorrow's
style
a
racing.
very unique format. Yeah, with
Super
the 3
unique.
different races that we've got, one of them being a hill climb. It's going to be really interesting. And now we're down to 2 men's and 2 women's teams as well. So they've not had an easy path to make it to the finals. I believe Hexagon, didn't they have next last week that they had to get by? Which is no mean feat. All right, these guys are now starting to look like a 4-rider sprint here. They're not going to be caught with the 50-second advantage with 4.5K of racing remaining here. Make it 5.5K, excuse me. 4 different teams represented by Rose. Is even
And 48 seconds here at this point. Wow, Hinge from R3R Dev really giving a little bit of a go. Steenack is here trying to hang on. I love these little moves through this section. It doesn't always work out too well, but it does look like it puts somebody on the back foot, and that's going to be Hamlet for a moment. AW now there, a little bit of a break. Not sure if it was worth it for getting rid of one rider, but maybe mission accomplished. Open over the top now. Hamlet here from the WLC team as they're about to head into the leg snapper. 46 seconds up here for TRH, Van Elst, as well as Ensign Brofig with Ruth and Fell sitting in at 0.7 watts per kilogram. This guy, look at what he's doing with his heart rate way down. He's waiting for the moment, it looks like here, Dave.
Yeah, you want to talk about someone who's primed and ready to meet the moment. Well, here we go. Expect an absolute explosion here on the leg snapper. I have a feeling Pierre Fell is the man to beat in this group. Hexagon has been a phenom in Zwift racing. We've seen teams just shoot like a rocket ship to the top of the table. Hexagon's certainly one of them.
Last week it was just a heads up there. Hexagon versus Movistar.
Movistar.
Yeah,
That's
Movistar.
right.
Next got taken out the week prior. So it will be tomorrow, Hexagon versus Toyota Cryo RDT, which will be super interesting
It's
to
gonna
see.
be
But
a
they're about
monster
to take
battle.
on. They're about to have to take on NZ Bro though, right now, as well as Count Me In, is who they and this Figwit Count Me In the TRH squad right now. That's going to be the question for Fell. He's been really look at this 138, 139 heart rate. I think he's really playing his cards well right here as he waits to pounce. 10 watts per kilogram on the front.
Oh,
and
here we go.
No gap really opening up. You do get a little bit of a draft at these kind of speeds uphill. Really smart ride here from Fell so far.
So it's the speed that you're going at when you talk about that draft. And I mean, for someone like me, there's no draft on this climb. But for these guys at 32 kilometers per hour, there's a massive draft that you're getting at this point. It is hard to believe how quickly they get up this climb. This is the infamous leg snapper at 8%, make it 7% now. But no one is able to get the separation that they might have been looking for. All 4 up and over the top. Man, they put paid to that quickly.
Up and over the top here. There we go. It's going to be.
They didn't change position once on that.
No, they didn't. They didn't. You're right. They just matched each other. I mean, that says a lot about what they're thinking
was like
about
that
here.
Cavendish sprint yesterday. That
that was
or
interesting.
a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I don't want to go too much into the Giro right here now, but I mean, very, very close comparison. Actually, nobody budged. Everybody just stayed right where they were.
Going flat out, hold your position. You know what I'm saying?
Cav is pretty good at, making his presence known. I'll just say that. I'll just say he's pretty good at making sure that
I wouldn't argue that.
Yeah. So now here we go on the front, though, setting up for a sprint. All they're thinking about here is points. You can tell. This was not about breaking anyone. They did 9, 10 watts per kilogram over the top, even 8 at moments. Those were not full on attacks. If it was full on attack, you would have saw 13 or more for a moment here. Now they're backing up to 2.3. This is all about the points across this line here.
It's interesting for me. This is a straight up bike race. You've got a 4-rider breakaway. It knows it's going to the line. Shark brain is how I would describe these riders at this point. I don't know that they're thinking about anything other than being the rider to put their wheel over the line first.
You might be right there that they don't really care about these points here. That's really about they're just
What else? What are you going to do, right?
On. Yeah, the way they're taking this on right now.
Win.
Well, Van Elst here now kicking though. Does look like he's interested in this points right here, but it's going to be a response coming in from Fowl. Fowl, man, this guy, his timing. I keep watching the Hexagon rider, and he doesn't even have a higher watt per kilogram. He just knows where to sit. Boom, across there, grabs it from Van Elst. He's been so smart.
That guy knows his Zwift craft. Yeah, that's a real esports racer, Pierre Fell. That's why Hexagon has been so damn good this last 6 months. Is they all race like that. These guys have cracked the code. 4 together now, going to the finish. That's
Ruth over the top. At 6 watts per kilogram, that was actually a counter. I mean, he wasn't just sitting around. 55 kilometers per hour here. They cover it pretty quickly here. Fell jumps on it. He wants a sprint again, it looks like. Hamlet from Burrito now on the go with these are the minor placings for those sprint points here, but it's going to be Dubao. Again, Hexagon. Take out this pack as well. They just continue to show us that they are the community team with the Zwiftcraft over and over again. Hexagon. Presented by Saris.
Like a 1st, a 5th, and a 7th that they've had at that final bonus sprint there. Stefan Van Elst, the Belgian, on the front now. As we take a look at the riders who are coming up on the flag, the kite, 1K to go. Definitely the New Zealander here in black has been the most antsy rider in this group.
Nice little kick here at that 1% uphill gradient, too. It hits 2 for a second, so you do get a quick little 5-10 meters. Can you see that at the bottom of the screen? 12, 11 meters.
All that has him doing is moving to the front, though. I mean, he didn't drop anybody.
Well, there's no draft outside of 5 meters. Outside of 5 meters, there's 0 draft. So the moment you see outside of 5 meters, so Van Elst actually is the one doing the work for Sven. Van Elst here also didn't give a draft to Sven to come across. The only one who's getting draft is Fell. The only one through that whole section is the Hexagon rider, and he gets dropped off at 300 meters to go, essentially. Does he have a kick still?
So who in the last 30 seconds has done the best job, right? Pierre Fell.
Boom.
And here
Pierre
we go.
Fell.
That's
Goodbye. Just comes right over the top. Van Elst doesn't even have the speed because he had to back off for a second. And the Hexagon rider shows us that he is the KJ Zwift rider on the day by far. Van Elst for second.
No doubt.
Sven
that was a
ends
master
up
class from Pierre Fell and Hexagon out here today. I have to think that Hexagon is going to take the day. As you can see, they've got 2 riders in this group coming to the line as this kick is about to engage here. These top 10 spots carry a lot of points with them. That's going to be, is it Hamlet hitting out? And it is Hamlet here looking like he'll grab 5th place points.
He's trying to catch this Van Nucleus, the vegan boy here now, trying to stay away. Hamlet, 8 watts per kilogram.
That's 5th place.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. It's he's going to hold on. I think Hamlet is coming quick, though. 300 meters to the line, and still Hexagon is... No, they're not going to get involved there. It looks like Hamlet's going to do this, and I think Van Nucleus just going to hold on by about 10, 20 meters here. Hinch to the line. R3R going to take this bunch. Nice little kick there from Hamlet, but the rider Van Nucleus. Van Nucleus. I like it. That name. Going to be
all right.
5th place across the line. So that is our racing forward, the EMEA Div 1 Northwest men. We also watched the North women just a moment ago. Dave, let's go ahead and see if we can bring in some of these results as they are all done and dusted for the women. As that was quite the battle that we watched just a moment ago. Across, let's see if we can get this in here. My nut
We
lock
witnessed
isn't
some
liking me.
exceptional individual performances, which is
Yeah,
not
Lindsay Cassie,
necessarily
Dave?
what.
Like, what? That was insane.
Yeah, and this is not what WTRL and ZRL is necessarily about, but there's just no way that you can turn a blind eye to a ride like that. Winning by 1 minute and 44 seconds, that is unheard of. Well, unless you're Julie Chalet, who also did something very similar. Not quite that advantage. Every race is different. The Italians had a strong day. So, Lindsay Cassie, congratulations on what is an exceptional performance for Wahoo Nicole today. 5.1 watts per kilo as well. Woo. Chiaradoni, the Italian, led up the Castelli squad, and the real charge that they made today as she'll take second. Norwegian Annie Nevin of Draft ZRL in third. Beatrice Boccalini in fourth. Fabia Maramotti in fifth. Morgan Cabot in sixth. You can see Italy definitely with 4 riders in the top 6. Ooh la la. Mamma mia, as they would say. Laura Kent, Scottish rider for Electric Spirit Co. Chanticleer in 7th with her teammate Katie Loker in 8th. Amy Williams from Wales for Wahoo Nicole in 9th. And Claire Deeth of Roca Corba, their Irish rider. Rounds out your top 10 for our A women in the North Division 1.
In with the B category, Ellie S. Child. Good to see her at the top there for Roca Corba Collective B, 43.53. Menon de Boer comes through for Team NL Ladies B at 34.47. Close sprint between her and Inga Jodicki for Kirchmer B1W Wild Bees. Arya Schnitzsella there for Team NL Ladies. It's going to be Sophia Hamer for Roca Corba Collective. Sophie Tulhurst for TFC Shuri in for 6th place there. Tamara Devine, Aeonian Belsimas in 7th. Terry Freminier for Sports Solid Women B1 in 8th place. Helen Sharp for Roca Corba Collective B in 9th. And Rhiannon Mully for TFC Shuri. That's your top 10 for the EMEA North Div 1 Bs. C category, Tiny Hunt was at the top, Dave.
Yeah, Galaxy Supernova Velocity takes the top 2 spots today in our women's Cs with Tanya Hunt and Becky Longthorpe having outstanding rides. It's going to be Diane Ferguson for WCC Infernos 2 for 3rd, Andrea Grupp 4th for AVC Mount Virgin. 2 Roca Corba riders coming through next. It's Scottish rider Gillian Clark and then Carla DeWitt in 6th. It's Sabine Seafried in 7th for AVC Mount Virgin. Galaxy Supernova Velocity has Charlotte Graves in 8th and Amy Bragg in 9th with Ashley Maganat of Roca Corba. Rounding out our CEMEA North Division 1 women in 10th place.
And let's head on over to the results for the men as we just saw them come across the line. And it was the mixed men's EMEA Northwest Div 1. Pierre Fell from Hexagon we saw over and over again, not only taking the first across the line today at the finish line, but really cagey when it came to that sprint point. Awesome job there for that Hexagon team. And they will be taking down the series, it looks like. Stefan van Elst there from Count Me In does come in for second, though. It will be Sven Friedrich for Team Rheinheisen Rakenten. Ben Ruth for NZ Bro Figwit in 4th. Then it's going to be Vlad van Nucleus for the Viken Aardvarks in 5th, just holding on from that late charge coming in from Paul Hamlet in 6th place for the Burrito Titans. Philip Hinch for R3R Dev winning the bunch sprint in 7th there for Lucas Dubois. Hexagon in 8th, presented by Saris. It's going to be Felix Frischmann, Team Rheinheisen Rakuten in 9th. And Tom Steenackers, we saw him struggling to hang on, came back to that group, actually. Good on him for sticking it out and able to hold on to that 10th place across the line. That is Northwest Div 1 EMEA. The Bs and the Cs, I believe, with the giant climb out there, still out on course. Let's chat a little bit here, Dave, real quickly about the setup. I know that there just recent announcements for the WTRL Racing Finals. This is the ranked league and systems. As you can see across all of these divisions, they are all going to be ranked and then put together for each individual cup. So as you can see, very right here, this one doesn't make well. It makes a ton of sense if you study it like chemistry, essentially, as Martin has done for us, to put all of the correct compounds together for us, which then ends up with the divisions that will be battling and have battled to then head into the Cup semifinals, and then from there to go to their different rankings. As you can see, the Cup final on the left-hand side, ranked 1 through 12. The Shield final there in the lower left will be ranked 13th through 24th. The Plate final, 25th through 36th. And then 37 through 48 for the Bull final. So everybody has a battle to do for their finals to try and win one of the 4 cups coming out of each one of the divisions. I think it's pretty amazing that WTRL has put this together in a way that everybody has something to battle for at the end of the season, Dave.
Yeah, I know the riders really love that for sure. Having something to just keeps your head in the game.
Absolutely. It's really, really great what they've done. And love to hear the feedback and what everybody thinks about it as you participate in it. Jump on in. It's a great way for us to see, what this new format does for all the racers and what the feelings are in the community about it. We'll see how it ends up playing out. And we will be covering all the action here on Zwift Community Live. Knockouts are tomorrow, Dave. It's going to be interesting to see how Toyota Cryo RDT go up against the new community team that's suddenly shown up, that is Hexagon. And then we've also got Sar Snowpin's women's team going up against Team Swedish Zwifters. One of the most hype, I think, situations we've had in quite a while when it comes to the new fast racing format that the knockouts are.
Yeah, come join us. That'll be taking place midday here in the United States. It's noon my time in Colorado. GMT, I believe it's 1900 hours, but it's an incredible new format. We've had an absolute blast. We're down to, as Nathan just mentioned, our final 2 teams on both the men's and the women's sides. It's been absolutely awesome. Completely new format. So, yeah, come join us. I think you'll really enjoy it. The great thing is the athletes you're already familiar with. It's the format that's new. But like on that Toyota Cryo team, you'll probably recognize just about every name, to tell you the truth, from previous Premier League racing. It's just putting them in this new style of racing that's been so much fun.
That's going to be the interesting one, too, at the end. I'm super excited for the men's race. The women's race, we saw both of those races get blown up by the succeeding teams that went through. Saris as well as Team Swedish Swifters really controlled those races.
Yeah.
Watching those two go head-to-head then, I wonder if we're going to see something similar, if it's going to be a little bit of a little bit more of a trying to wrestle this bull to the ground for both of them.
I have a strong feeling, Nathan, that this is going to come down to the final sprint, the final point. That is on the women's side. The men's side, I have a question mark
Dice
around
roll.
that. Hexagon,
Such a dice roll.
Hexagon has never disappointed, but they've always, for me, been punching above their weight, right? Where Toyota Cryo is an established team. If I was an odds maker, I might still favor Toyota Cryo, but only slightly coming into this final. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hexagon upset Toyota Cryo, but I would put Toyota Cryo in as a marginal favorite. Women's side, dead even in my mind. The Swedish Swifters, they might not be a fancy team. They don't come with a lot of razzmatazz. They just get the job done every damn time. Whereas Sarah Snowpins, they come at you, and I think you'd agree with this, Nathan. They think outside the box. They're the type of team that maybe has the strongest relationship between brain and body of any team I've ever seen. So will they be able to not that the Swedes have any trouble with Swiftcraft, do they? Whole new format.
No,
Who knows?
They definitely, and the eyebrows were raised yet last week when we saw Team Swedish Swifters do that first sprint. And even Anna Russell said, whoa, okay. But then when we asked her last week during the TTT on Thursday with our new format, kind of podcasty format, she was like, bring it on. We're here to race. So obviously.
She's not scared.
No, They're not scared. So it'll be interesting how it plays out. Duncan McRae, Spencer St. Toyota Cryo were so professional last week, and I'd have to agree with that. And Hexagon more just by brute force, it seemed like, demolished the Movistar team. But that's all for tomorrow, everybody. Make sure to tune in. That'll be over on Zwift's live channel.
Send me a tweet out there. I want to, if anybody can pick the men's winner and the women's winner, if you can get them both, I will definitely give you a special shout out, because that means that you really got your finger on the pulse of racing out here. That's for sure. Because Nathan, I don't feel, you know me, I'm always really confident in my picks. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I cannot wait.
It's going to be exciting for sure. All right, everybody, head on to WTRL for the rest of the racing results. We still got more racing to go, though, with America's East and America's West, obviously. We're already shooting for tomorrow. But
we'll be back in a couple hours here.
A couple hours for the rest of the ZRL. Head on over to WTRL Racing, though, for the results between now and then, and we'll see you in just a couple hours. As always, everybody, right on.